what to visualize and how to visualize. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings, particularly Arya Manjushri, Arya Maitreya, Arya Avalokiteshvara, Arya Tara, Arya Vajrapani, Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Deva, Acharya Chandrakirti, Bodhisattva Shandarakshita, Bodhisattva Shanti Deva, Acharya Kamalashir, Atisha Shri Jnana, and then the author of the commentary, Lama Tsongkhapa, and all the enlightened beings in front of you. And how you visualize them. They are like your very affectionate parents, and imagine you come home demoralized, and they are there. Your parents are waiting there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace. Bodhiji the field, visualize your two parents on the two sides, and all your family members, including your children, and all the sentient beings around you. And here you are the mother, and all others are like your children. Imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. And the purpose of this practice is to discover the ultimate source of happiness that exists within each one of us, no matter who you are, whether you're male, female, whether you're educated, uneducated, whether you're high caste, low caste, whether you are following this religion, that religion, it doesn't matter. Everyone has that potential, the ultimate source of happiness within yourself. It is like gold mixed with the soil. As long as the gold is mixed with the soil, you don't see the gold glowing inside. You just see the soil there. But in the eyes of the experts, there's a gold there. And how do we know that the experts will inform us or will convince us of the presence of the gold there? Is through removing the soil one by one, and slowly the gold inside will start to glow. And more the soil is removed, the more the gold will glow inside. From there we become confident that indeed there is the Buddha nature, there is the ultimate source of happiness within each one of us. And this is a fact. So if this is a fact, how can we get rid of the metal stains like the soil from these gold like the Tathagata Garbha of the ultimate treasure of happiness within yourself? How can you separate the two? It is by applying the remedies. What remedies to apply? To know this, what remedies to apply, we need to know the nature of the metal stains, metal defilements. And the metal defilements are of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross also referred to as the afflictive obscurations, and the subtle referred to as the cognitive obscurations. Afflictive obscurations, the presence of this stops us from achieving freedom from suffering, anxiety, stress, and so forth. And the cognitive obscurations stop us from achieving total enlightenment, total awakening. And knowing that these two stains, somehow they're connected with the self-grasping ignorance, just as when we are in sleep, and we are in the when we are in the sway of the dream and the sleep, we see the dream is so real. So this is ignorance, and it is because of this that the fear can arise in you, that you see the dream ghost chasing you, and so much of fear coming in you. These fears because of the ignorance lying there, seeing the dream ghost as real. Only when you wake up, you realize that the dream ghost is not a real ghost, but it's just a dream coming from your mind. So getting rid of this ignorance, all your fears dissolve. So likewise, all the metal stains, somehow they boil down to either the ignorance, which views things as very different from how they actually exist, or the stains left by this ignorance. So how to get rid of this ignorance? Ignorance is like darkness. It is only through introducing the light that the darkness can be eliminated. Likewise, the darkness of ignorance can best be eliminated by introducing the light of the wisdom. The next question, what is this wisdom? The wisdom is the mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? So this is what we're learning here. The Madhyamaka Avatar, entry into the middle way. This is to let us know what the reality is. So on that basis, we'll cultivate this reality first through the studies, then followed by reflection, followed by meditation, and then you get a very deep conviction of how things are like a dream. Nothing really exists as objectively real. Everything is like a dream. So once you know this, then we bring it to the level of the conviction, where you are so confident, 100% you're confident that everything that I encounter with, they are all just like a dream. Once you have this conviction through the reflection, then we subject this to analysis or to the practice. It becomes the wisdom draw through meditation. Within this meditation, we see that there are two. One which is conceptual, and another one which is non-conceptual or direct, non-dual experience of the wisdom of emptiness. So only when you reach to this level, where the non-dual wisdom of emptiness is achieved, then you have the actual remedy to cleanse the mind of the mental defilements, where you become like, you turn towards awakening from the dream, from the sleep of ignorance, of samsara. So this is how we awaken, by following the 5 steps. Gade Gade, Para Gade, Para Samgade, Bodhisvaha. Okay, with this in mind, so knowing that this is a trend, how we can finally free ourselves from the pains of anxiety, the pains, the fear, anxiety, stress, depression of life. Knowing this, feeling so compassionate towards everyone who is suffering because of this, the ignorance, seeing that the dream is real, the dream ghost is real, and therefore the unending pain of being chased by the ghost, likewise the unending pain of samsara, being chased by the samsaric experiences of pain. So feeling so compassionate towards all those beings, you inspire them to follow you in this journey of cleansing the mind, to discover the reality as it is, and thus free yourself from the ensnarement of the mental projection. Okay, with that in mind, let's turn to page 3 of the book, of the blaze of non-dual bodhicittas. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Kange doze nirzone, tawa damje bambejir, dambe jene dunze, kodam de la chazelo. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no acceptance, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this praise, which is free of elaborations. Kange denje devarajo, gaba meba ke meba, cheba meba ta meba, moa meba jo meba, tade tume tunje me, joba sobe sanje manamge, tamba de la chase no. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification and complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes was helping migrate to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of nations helps adjurers expand the varieties of teachings. Yendo jewa sonam gunshe nige nishe tenze kanya da tola pembaraj tamshe nige jiden dundu zeba kan kanda yanda dembe tunna namba kun da so de somba nindo chanjo sembe soje sanje yumde la cha se do. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector to you and your frustrations. Semara Gyurba Dola Benjeba, Demba Deje Gyola Chaselu. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound. Obe Dawa Namze Jin, Sajin Yaje Gumawa, Kundo Zambu Sedan, Kune Chola Chaselu. I go for refuge until my enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until my enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanye Jula Zoge Cholam La, Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che, Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam. Toda Benjire Sanye Jubare Sho, Sanye Choda Soge, Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che, Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge, Toda Benjire Sanye Jubare Sho. Sangye Choda Soge Chonam Na, Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che, Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam. Toda Benjira Sangye Durbarashu. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I gentle manner for awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tatha Gato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tatha Gato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tatha Gato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-eyed and non-composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will return to the words. Sabji Tute Vazadu Maji, Duzeda Vuchushi Kuni, Sula Sheyan Kuwara Minipe, Mimo Nagi Nasune Maravecha. Pure utterance, thought, and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseasoned, has the nature of space, is the popular apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times of the obeisance. Mazom Jume Shera Parujin, Maye Mega Nange Moin, Sozorani Shichuba, Dizum Geve Yona Chanseno. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all, I go for refuge in the Guru. Lama Zanya Lama Ju, Desha Lama Gindu, Kunye Chebo Lama, Lama Chanseno. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of expanse of billions of aeons. Chöngwa chenpo chayene senje dunga targe jen geba cheba samyes chöden zeji shu su su. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realization is not transferred to them. It is by the teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. Tunam deba chue me choshin, droe dunga chage me sel, nyege doba shenla pomende, chunye denba dende chobara gyur. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. Chonam gunge zanje la, emo jade sowa, semjen dunga mentom la, chuge drume bardu se. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, if there is grasping, you do not have the view. Sedela jena chuba min, korwala jena nyeju min, ramdena jena chansen, zemba juna dawa min. Okay, page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfect, full awakened being. Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings, to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I persuade me offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced of 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I persuade. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I persuade. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I persuade. Thus we like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I persuade. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I persuade. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one part, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I persuade. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, holy feet qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Son I persuade. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apparition, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a clown, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the 4 falls and be delivered from samsara's ocean, but hurt by the waves of aging, sickness and death. Okay, Sun illuminating the threefold faith, page 19. Praise to the 17th Night of the Masters, page 19. Born from great compassion, aspiring to help all beings, God of gods, you have attained the Savior's state of abandonment and realization. May you guide beings through the discourse of dependent origination. O able one, the Son of Speech, I bow my head to you. I implore you at your feet, O Nagarjuna, Kumbhoduttu, most skilled in elucidating suchness, free of elaborations, the meaning of sutras, the mother of conquerors, through the profound reasoning of dependent origination, in accord with the congruous prophecy. I implore you at your feet, Principal Sanahari, Pagpala, most learned and realized, who has crossed the ocean of Buddhist and non-Buddhist tenet systems, and is the crown jewel among those who uphold Nagarjuna's treatises. I implore you, O Buddha Padita, Sangyekam, who has reached the supreme depth state and who has clearly elucidated Nagarjuna's intent, the final meaning of dependent origination, the profound point of mere designation as mere label. I implore you, O Master Bhava Viveka, fully accomplished Pandita, you initiated the philosophical tradition wherein while negating extremes of truly existing things arising and so forth, you uphold commonly verified own knowledge and external reality. I implore you, O Chandrakirti, Lobindawar Thakpa, who disseminated all the parts of the Sutra and Tantra. You are more skilled in teaching the profound and the vast as well as the middle way.
By means of dependent origination that is mere Krishnality. I implore you, O Bodhisattva Shantideva.
Gese Shiva, skilled at revealing to the assembly of fortunate spiritual trainees the excellent path of compassion that is greatly wondrous through a multitude of reasoning most profound and vast. I implore you, O Master Abba Shantarakshita, Kenjan Shiva So, who initiated the tradition of the non-dual middle way in accordance with their trainees' mental disposition, who are versed in the reason modes of both middle way and logic, and you disseminated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you to feed O Kamala Shila, the Biming Angsul, you who, having explained excellently the stages of meditation of the middle way view, free of elaborations, and the union of tranquility and insight in accordance with the Sutra and Tantra, flawlessly elucidated the conqueror's teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Asanga Bhagavad-Tome, you who were sustained by Maitreya, were versed in the disseminating excellent and taught a vast path, and who, in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, initiated the tradition of mind only. I implore you at your feet, O Master Vasubandhu, the Vayinyan, you who, while upholding the system of the seven Abhidharma treatises as well as non-duality, illuminated the I implore you at your feet, O Dinaga, Lubin Cholang, the logician who, in order to present the Buddha's way to the evidence-based reasoning, opened a hundredfold game-visual system of logic and offered as a gift to the world the arts of critical intelligence. I implore you at your feet, O Dharmakirti, Lubin Chugi Thapa, you who, understanding all the essential points of both Buddhist and non-Buddhist epistemology, brought conviction in all the profound and the vast parts of South Tantrika and not only by means of reasoning. You are most versed in teaching the excellent Dharma. I implore you at your feet, O Arya Vimukti Sena, Papa Namjul Dev, you who lit the lamp that illuminates the meaning of the ornament treatise, wherein the themes of the professional wisdom stemming from Asanga and his brother were expounded in accordance with the middle way view, free of existence and non-existence. I implore you, O Master Haribhatra, who have been singing Sangbo, who were prophesied by the conqueror of the meaning of the mother, the professional wisdom. You elucidated the excellent treatise on the professional wisdom, the three mothers, in perfect accord with the instructions of the Savior Maitreya. I implore you at your feet, O Guna Prabha, most excellent in both integrity and scholarship, who, having excellently distilled the intent of 100,000 disciplinary teachings, expounded the individual liberation vows flawlessly according to the tradition of the Sarvastivada school. I implore you at your feet, O Shakya Prabha, the Shakya, supreme upholder of discipline, who reigned over the treasure of the qualities of the three trainings in order to disseminate the stainless Vinaya teaching for a long time. You excellently expound the meaning of the vast treatises. I implore you, O Choadisha, you who, having taught all the profound and the vast tradition related to the words of the Buddha, within the framework of the paths of the persons and three capacities, were the most kind master disseminating the Buddha's teaching in the land of snows. Having thus introduced most learned ornaments of the world, excellent source of wondrous and insufferable teachings, may I be blessed so that my mind becomes ripened and free. Through the entreaty I made with a mind unwavering and pure, by understanding the two truths of ontological reality, will be ascertained how through the four truths we enter and leave samsara. I make firm the faith in the three jewels that is born of valid reason. May I be blessed so that the root of the path of liberation is firmly established within me. May I be blessed with perfect training in renunciation and aspiration for liberation, the total pacification of suffering and its origin. Now contrite bodhicitta that is rooted in an infinite compassion, that wishes to protect all sentient beings, may be blessed so that I may easily develop conviction in all the paths pertaining to the profound points of the perfection and Vajra vehicle. By engaging in study, reflection, and meditation on the meaning of our 26 of the great 12 blazers, may I, in life after life, obtain excellent births that support the three trainings and contribute to the teaching that equals the 12 great 12 blazers in upholding and disseminating the teachings of Scripture and realization through engaging in exposition and meditative practice. By may the members of all spiritual communities spend their time in learning, reflection, and meditation, shining wrong livelihood through the proliferation of sublime masters. May the great face of the earth be beautified throughout all times. Through the power of this supplication, may traverse all the paths of the Sutra and Tantra, and soon attain the state of conquerors of nations, characterized by spontaneous realization of the two purposes, and work for the welfare of sentient beings as long as space remains. Okay, page 31, the Heart Sutra Mantra, page 31. As we recite this Heart Sutra Mantra, let us not forget to bring to our visualization of your two parents and all of family members and all sentient beings and everyone living on the side, because this is a great opportunity for us to bring about the transformation, cleansing of the mind, so that we become fully awakened, that we are freed from all the pains and the fears, anxiety, triggered by the misconception, seeing the world, seeing the whole illusory world as real. So, with tremendous compassion for all beings, imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni is inspiring us to wake up from the sleep of ignorance so that our miseries will come to an end. And then you hearing this melodious voice of the Buddha Shakyamuni, you in turn inspire your two parents and all sentient beings to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. And everyone so happily joins you in this journey of cleansing the mind, to awaken this seed of perfection which exists within each one of us. Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha Dhyata Om 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 Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha. Okay. Next we will read the 8 verse of my training, page 32. With the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I've discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself and defeat others to victory. When someone whom I've helped or in whom I've placed great hopes makes me mean extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of 8 maintained concerns, and may I recognize in all things as illusions, the word of thinking be released from bondage. From my two collections, vast space that have amassed, from working with effort at this great, may I become the shield-raising Buddha for all those whose minds crystallized blinded by ignorance. Okay. Okay, now let us turn to page 208. Page 208. Last time we finished from this section, Ultimate Reality in Mathematical Philosophy. This section we finished from the translation rendered which we read from FPMT book translation. We finished that. Now we're reading the same thing. We're doing it from page 208 from the Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Okay, that everyone has a copy of this book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Okay, just raise your hands those who do not have this book with you. Everyone has it. Good. Okay. So the idea which, again, to quickly paraphrase what we did earlier, is that what we've learned is so going back to the story of the king and the painter. The king invited the painter to paint something, and page 208. Page 208. The painter is invited to paint something. Then the painter painted. Okay, just. Okay, most of you already know the story. The king was so happy. The king rewarded the painter with the gifts. Then he left. After 2 years, again the king was wanting to invite the painter once more to paint something, and the painter was. In fact, this was a story narrated by the Buddha himself. The painter was invited. The painter was shown to the same place where he 2 years ago did the painting. So entering the hall or the room, then he came out crying with fear, so much fear, saying that there's a ghost there in this house, and then he ran away from this place, ran away from the palace. And the king was a little agitated, a little unhappy, upset, as how come that there's a ghost in my palace? And then he sent his ministers and came to realize that there was just a picture of a ghost there. Okay, so who painted the picture of the ghost? The painter himself. He himself painted this ghost picture 2 years ago, and he forgot. And it was done so well that it was so real, he forgot it and he thought that there's a ghost there. So the point here is that he did the painting, he forgot it, and now he sees this as so real from the object. Actually, it did not come from the object, it just came from his skill, his own skill, his subjective skill. Then, the forgetting that it was his own painting coming from his own skills, he saw that as something coming from the object, 100% as a real ghost there. So that scared him. Likewise, just as that painting simply was so real, everything that we see around, they are seen as so real. And just as this painting actually was painted by the painter himself, all these things which scare us, which create problem on us, they are all just coming from our mind. Now the point is, when the painter realizes, okay, now, so that was not the real ghost, it was my own painting, then his fear will dissolve. Likewise, when we realize that everything is like our own painting by our own mind, created by our own mind, projected by our own mind, our fear automatically dissolves. Okay, for that matter, for the painter, it is so important to realize that the painting was not a real ghost, it was his own painting. Somebody in the dream being chased by a dream ghost, for him or her to be free from the fear of the ghost, the dream ghost, he or she should realize that this dream ghost was not a real ghost. It was just coming from the mind. Only when he or she realizes that, then he or she will be released from the fear of the dream. Likewise for us, to go through the tension, depression, stress, anxiety, and panic, and so forth, this is all coming from failing to see that everything is just coming from our mind. The next question, how do we know that things are all coming from our mind? This next question. So for that matter, now of course the whole book, whole commentary, this is on this to convince us how everything's like a dream in a very systematic way, because that this is a very subtle topic. In fact, we are being addicted to seeing things as so real from our, say, since time immemorial till now, millions and trillions of lifetimes in the past, we were so addicted to seeing things as so real. This was like the chronic illness that we had. Now to undo this, it will take time. But for that matter, what we learned is studying the wisdom drive-through, studies, reflection, and meditation. So this ignorance like being in a sleep, being in a dream, seeing the dream ghost as real, for that ignorance, to get rid of this ignorance, you have to wake up. Likewise, we have to wake up from the sleep of this samsaric dream. Okay, so how to wake up? How to wake up? How to discover the reality to be something very different from how we perceive them. So for that matter, the Buddha, 2,500 years ago, and the first when he became the full awakened one under the Bodhi tree, when he became the full enlightened being, then while the whole purpose was to give teachings, to tell the world how we are being under the sway of ignorance, instead of the Buddha giving teaching discourse on this matter, Buddha remained silent for 49 days. And the reason why the Buddha remained silent was the kings of the celestial beings, Indra, Brahma, they descended to make a request to the Buddha that please don't remain silent. The purpose for you to become enlightened is to benefit all beings. Now that you are fully awakened, if you don't turn the wheel of Dharma, if you don't give teachings to the beings will continuously be in the grip of the ignorance, the darkness of ignorance. So don't remain like this, please turn the wheel of the Dharma. Then the Buddha said this word, page 6, which we read already, profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, twilight, and non-composite. Such is an actor like Dharma I've discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the words. So this is what the Buddha said. Sashi to do. So do much the Buddha. This is what the Buddha said. Okay, the point is that this path which I've discovered is so profound. It's totally in contradiction with how the ordinary people perceive the world is very different, very contradictory. Unless unless we have some breakthrough in realization, to realize this is very difficult. Then the Indra and Brahma, they continued to make requests to the Buddha. Finally, the Buddha accepted and started to give the teachings. Okay, so this teaching, Buddha very skillfully taught on 4 levels: Vaibhashika, Sautrantrika, Chittamatra, Madhyamika. The same concept, in order for us, for example, for somebody to really be able to become a Nobel laureate in physics. Physics, of course, the person as a child has to first go through the schoolings, then go through the college, then university, and then the postdoc. So there are these 4 phases one has to go through. Likewise, to understand the final reality, which is so different, which is just in opposition to how we see things, because this is so profound, the Buddha taught this on 4 levels: Vaibhashika school, Sautrantrika school, Chittamatra, and Madhyamika. And within Madhyamika, we said that there are 2: the Svatantra Madhyamika and Prasangika Madhyamika. Okay, so this is a little technical part. Now, since that the author, the Lama Tsongkhapa, has been so kind, because that the whole text is going to be on the basis of the philosophical school of Prasangika. So he so kind of offered to explain the same concept very succinctly according to Svatantra Madhyamika. So we already did that part, but we're going to read this once more on the basis of a different translation, which is on page 208 of the Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Okay, so the point, as I said earlier, the purpose is what? To discover that everything is like a dream. Just as the dream seems to be so real, in actuality, coming from our mind, but in the dream, you're just in the grip of the ignorance, seeing the dream as so real. Likewise, so it is only through waking up that you realize that what happened in the dream, seeing the dream as so real, was deceptive. Upon your waking up, you realize that what came in the dream, they were all just coming from your mind, not really from the object. So likewise, what the Buddha discovered is that everything that exists in the universe, they're like dream. They're all coming from a mind rather than from the object. Now, if that's the case, everything's like dream, everything's like illusion. So the next question is, how can I discern that everything is like illusion? This is the question. Okay, so for that matter, you can't really believe. People study this, reflect on this, meditate on this for years and years, like let's say 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years on this, and then to speak, say from the point of view, purely from the practice point of view, people actually study, reflect, meditate on this, not only for 1 life, 2 lives, 3 lives, 4 lives. And we are very lucky that we have just 2 pages. 2 pages, which Lama Tsongkhapa, he offered us, just 2 pages to understand the emptiness. Okay, so let us read now. Okay, I will read this slowly and we'll try to explain this. And okay, what I'm going to share with you here is be in the present moment. Be in the present moment, meaning that don't get swayed. Don't get swayed by your own thoughts. Okay, so it is saying like this, but what like this, but what like that. Okay, for the time being, be in the present moment, follow the instructions. Okay, those of you who feel really very terribly cold, shivering cold because of the AC, feel free to change your places, right? Okay, if you do feel that. Okay, otherwise, overall, if it is a little cold, then we can, what is this, 26?
26.
26 is okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's hitting you directly again. Mimi, are you okay? Pranshula? Okay, what about Ajirji? Wow. Issues, no problem. Amazing. Norella, no problem. Your reps still say good, no problem. Okay, then, come on. Huh? You okay? Good. Okay, now the point is, okay, page 208. Now the author is saying, I'll now concisely explain the way to generate within us an insight into the illusion-like appearance of all phenomena, right? And say, of the two translations, whichever is more convenient to you, you can use that. It's not necessary that you have to stick to one translation. If the one from this book is more convenient to you, you can go for that. But if you find this one from the place of non-will, it's the same thing, right? Whichever is the more convenient for you, you can go for it. Okay. Generate within us an insight into the illusion-like appearance of all phenomena. How we can have the experience of all phenomena to be like illusion, right? Okay. Objects of knowledge can be divided. Okay, the point that I'm sharing with you here is that be in the present moment. Then so later on, after studying this, then feel free to, during your group discussions and even in the next class, you can bring up the questions that you might have. For the time being, if you just keep pondering or doing some kind of comparative studies or comparative analysis with your earlier thoughts, earlier classes and so forth, you're going to miss some very important points. The moment you miss one point, then the remaining passages will be of no the purpose for you, no meaning for you. Okay, just be in the present moment and don't be so obsessed to do kind of say comparative analysis. You can do that later. Okay. Objects of knowledge can be divided into two categories, functional and non-functional things. Meaning that anything that exists can be classified into two. One is functional, which is impermanent, and the non-functional, which is permanent phenomena. You agree with me? Good. Okay. The former can further be divided into forms and non-forms. Former meaning impermanent, or the functional things can be divided into forms, physical forms, material physical forms, and the non-forms, meaning the mental. And technically what we've learned is that impermanent things can be divided into three: physical form, mental, and non-associated composition factors. Okay, there are three. So what we see for the time being, it's what is said in the text. Let's say the form and the non-forms. Non-forms including the mental and the non-associated composition factors too. Okay. As explained in other texts, Acharya Vasubandhu's 20 stanzas, which we did last time, which is here in page 209 in the end. Because of being simultaneously surrounded by 6 other particles, the central subtle particle is found to have 6 parts. If these 6 parts have the same special dimension, a massive object will conflate into the size of just a minute particle. Okay, and now going back to the main, which is the objects of knowledge can be divided into 2 categories: functional and non-functional things. The former can further be divided. The former can be further divided in forms and non-forms. As explained in other texts, Acharya Vasubandhu's 20 stanzas, the existence of directionally particles in the case of forms and the temporal particles moments in relation to minds must be refuted. So what we have to do is physical forms and the mental. So try to refute the partlessness with the form and with the mental. So partlessness with the form is what? Directional partless, right? Directional partless meaning that the particle, thinking of a very subtle particle which does not have any directions. Directionally partless particles. Okay, that we have to reject. Proving that anything which is a particle, however minute the particle is, it should necessarily have parts within, right? Okay, this is one thing. Now with the mind, say today's mind. Today I'm happy. Oh, today what today? Today is 24 hours. 24 hours I'm happy. 24 hours means the first hour mind, second hour mind, third hour mind. The mind does not, because the mind does not have physicality. Mind is not physical, so therefore the mind does not have a directional paths. If it is a path, it should be only in time. The paths in time. How in time is that today's mind of 24 hours. First hour mind, second hour mind, third hour mind. First hour mind. What do you mean by first hour mind? A mind which lasts for 1 hour. 1 hour means 60 minutes. First minute mind, second minute mind. You keep dividing like this the mind. You're looking for not the directional parts of the mind, you're looking for the temporal parts of the mind. Mind, the segments in time, not in the direction, in sense of direction. Because the mind does not have direction. Okay, so for the mind, say today's mind, it is many parts. Meaning 24 parts are there. The first hour mind again is 60 parts, 60 minutes. And first minute mind again is 60 seconds. And first second mind again it has like 1000 milliseconds. You keep dividing like this, you keep making the mind being the smaller and smaller in the segment, smaller segment, temporal segments. Can you imagine a very subtle mind which you pick up and say that this is the subtlest, this cannot be divided any further. So this question. So the answer is that the philosophers, they differ. Some philosophers, they say yes, with the physical matter, there's the finest particle which does not have which cannot be divided any further. And with the mind, there's the subtlest moment of the mind which cannot be divided any further. So this is what some philosophers believe. Whereas the author, the Madhyamik in general, whether Swatantra Madhyamik or Prasangika and Chittamatra also, they reject such a directional partless particles and the directional, the temporal, the partless moments of the mind. Okay, so it says that existence of directional partless particles in the case of physical forms and temporally partless moments in relation to minds, because minds must be refuted. Meaning that with the minds you cannot look for, you cannot pinpoint to a very the substance of the mind known as the temporally the partless mind, and with the physical you cannot look for the directionally partless particle. So in a way, in short, what is being said here is that you have to reject all forms of partlessness, partless particles or the partless moment of the mind. This is what we have to reject. So thus we have to establish that everything, all the functional things, all impermanent phenomena, whether physical or whether mental, all should necessarily have parts. This is what we have to conclude. Okay, so how to do that? Simply because it is said here, okay, so therefore nothing really is parts, everything has parts. No. How can you convince that? Because there are philosophers who actually believe in this, and not only believe, they could actually drive you to believe in the existence of the partless particles or partless moment of mind on the basis of their own reasonings. So if you are not to be swayed, if you are to remain firm with your conviction in this philosophy that everything has parts, then the belief that you hold on to must have a sound ground, must be rationally be convinced, it must be supported rationally. Okay, so what is the rationality that is a support for your conviction that all the functional things should necessarily have parts? That is the stanza used by stanza said by Sri Vasubandhu, right? So this is not just Not just believing in what Acharya Vasubandhu said, but you have to gain conviction. What Acharya Vasubandhu said, wow, this is the ultimate reasoning, right? To reject any degree of partlessness. Okay. So now imagine that we are not going to go through the Acharya Vasubandhu's explanation, which we already did it earlier, right? In great detail. Now imagine that you've already come to the conclusion that all the functional things, like the table, your body, and the moon, the sun, the stars, the Milky Way galaxy, anything that exists in the universe, electrons, protons, and the neurons, and the chromosomes, the DNA, cells, the electrons, protons, everything which is physical in nature, and like your own mind, happy mind, angry mind, compassionate mind, intelligent mind, and a very steady mind, and the very flickery mind, the instance of the mind should necessarily have parts. Okay, this is conviction that you must gain. Okay, with this, then the next. Then it becomes complicated. Okay, now we're entering into the technicalities. Given that the whole and the parts will be unrelated if they have distinct entities. Reject the distinctness of the two to show that the whole and the parts are of the same nature. Okay, the whole and the parts. Okay, now pay a little more attention to this. This is very important. Okay, and the imprint that we're going to lay in a mind of the emptiness concept. This is the extremely precious here. Now let's say for the time being, let's say the whole and parts. The whole and parts, and let's say the table. Okay, let's say, instead of the table, let's say the person. Let's say we feel we are being, let's say we are greatly affected by the table or affected by another person, right? Person. So let's relate this to a person, and the immediate attraction and repulsion is the physical appearance. Then once together for some time, then the mental, right? Okay, so in a job, right, relationship, in a job, whatever, first the appearance. So for interviews, right, people come with a nice dress, and properly whatever, right? So this is the physical appearance. Then, okay, now you are a Tibet House staff. Congratulations, right? You are selected as the Tibet House staff. Okay, now you join the office. After joining the office, now the physical thing, people know you so well, right? Sometimes you may not get time, you may come a little shabbily, still it doesn't really matter. Now the people will start to look at inside, right? Who you are, what is your degree of cooperation with other people, the other staff, or what is the degree of your compassion for others, what's the degree of your intelligence, right? Okay, there's something to be done, very urgently, and it must be tackled so effectively, right? And somebody's very sluggish, slow, impossible, right? By the time you lift the object like this, job is done, finish, too late, right? So the person should be so fast. There must be acuity there, right? Okay, now we see that with the person, how we relate to the person, right? So one is the superficial physical, number two is the mental, inside, mental, two. Okay, so on the mental thing, I'm not going to do it here. So we're going to really explain this on the basis of the physical first. Physical, so the mental later on. Later on, when you are little, gain expertise in this, the physical, then we must learn how to apply this to the mental, which is so precious. Okay, with the physical, say Okay, now just look at somebody who's sitting next to you. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you smile, not smile, it doesn't matter. Just look at the other person. Wow. Some, they're not even looking at anyone else. They know that I know you so well. Right? Why should I look at you? Okay, fine. Look, don't forget how the other person appeared to you. It's not the mental, it's the physical. You're getting it? Okay. For the time we're tackling the physical, not mental. You're getting it? Okay. Now, what we're saying is that this the physicality of the person, other person, this physicality of the person, do you agree with me or not? If you are to look at the same person through electron microscope, right? Through electron microscope, from the very gross, what we are seeing now, and then keep fine-tuning the electron microscope, right? Okay, some of you are so engrossed in the electron microscope, I could see that, right? Don't do it now, just follow me, right? Just engrossed there, okay, just be in the present moment, follow the instructions. You miss one point, the remaining explanations will make no the sense to you. Okay, so be with me now. Okay, now imagine that you are fine-tuning the electron microscope slowly, gradually you are fine-tuning the electron microscope, right? First you see the person's face, okay. Fine-tune it, okay, person's face, maybe the complexion is nice, right? Okay. Okay, my face, I'm not too sure. Okay, the complexion-wise is nice. Now, if you keep fine-tuning it slowly, however tender the complexion is, slowly into under electron microscope, it will become hairy. That's 100% sure, right? Okay, but don't worry. Even that is also illusion-like, right? Keep fine-tuning it more and more, then the cracks will be seen. Cracks will be seen. Cracks will become more visible. Keep fine-tuning this, then what? Then the cells will be, cell membranes will be visible. Through further fine-tuning this, then the cell membranes, the nucleus inside, the cytoplasm will be visible. Then through further fine-tuning, just focus on the nucleus, you'll start seeing the chromosomes, right? And the chromosomes, they are very repulsive to look at. Right, like snakes, right? Brownish snakes, striped. Okay, through further fine-tuning this, then we see that even this very scary snake-like chromosomes, even they are also illusion-like. They are also nothing but made of the DNA molecules. And through further fine-tuning this, we see that even these DNA molecules, they are made of the atoms. Okay. Through further fine-tuning this, we should be seeing the electrons, protons, and neutrons. Okay, let's go to the level of the atoms, right? Up to the level of the atoms. Stay there. Now imagine. Okay, now stay there and looking at the same person, the person's face or the body, through the electron microscope. Now we reach to that level of seeing just a pool of atoms, the pool of billions of atoms. Right? Okay. And the pools of billions of atoms, and all the atoms are banging each other. Okay. Now, stay there for a while. Stay there. Okay, just watch this. This is what we have discovered. This is not what we have exaggerated. This is not what we have invented. This is what we have discovered. You're getting it? Okay, now tell me. Now tell me. Where is the person? Where is that person? Where is this person's body which made you to smile? Right? None of the atoms will make you smile. Atoms are not beautiful. Atoms are not ugly. They are neutral. None of the atoms will make you smile. Right? Where is that person who made you smile? Where is the body, the face of that person who made you smile? Don't forget it. It disappeared. It's not really there. Okay. Now, that the face of that person, the body of that person, the face of that person is the whole. Whole and the parts is the whole. Now what we are seeing are the parts, atoms are the parts of that whole. Right? Okay. Entities and isolates. Entities and isolates. Entities means something which you find as you go closer to this object. Isolates is something which you find as you go closer to the subject. Entities and isolates. Now, by going towards the object, which means look for the entities, you just end up seeing the atoms, which are the parts, and the whole disappeared. The whole disappeared. The person's face, which made me smile, which is so important in my life, to make me happy, to make me angry, right? All the emotional stirs are on the basis of that person's the face, the body, whatever. That is the one which made me angry, which made me happy, whatever. So all the emotional, the turbulence is all created by this appearance. Now going towards the entity, meaning towards the object, looking for the entities, we are just end up seeing the parts. The whole is not there, right? So if I were to point to where the whole is, it should be there. If I were to look for the whole, going towards the object, it should not be other than the parts. But in the part, you don't see the whole. You're getting it? You don't see the whole. Okay. Imagine. Don't forget this. Don't forget this part. This is section 1. Section 2. Imagine that we are seeing snow for the first time. Let's say we have already seen snow, but we are seeing Mount Kailash for the first time. And we all, to avoid the glare. To avoid the glare, what's the other? What's the
Snow glare.
Snow glare. Okay, to avoid the snow glare, right? Then we put on the goggles or the glasses, tinted glasses. No, the glasses. And the glasses, it so happened that they are so dirty. The glass is so dirty, the quality of the glass, or let's say the glass is very dirty. And you put on the glasses, and then you go there and you see the Mount Kailash. And what is Mount Kailash like? Is it clean or dirty?
Dirty.
Very dirty. And then you will complain to me, right? Why did you take us to this dirty Mount Kailash? Right? And I said, no, it's not dirty, it's so clean. Is this, do you mean this is clean? This is your complaint, right? Okay. Tell me, this is the dirtiness of the Mount Kailash is what you're seeing now. And if I ask you, you're still with these glasses, dirty glasses. Mount Kailash is dirty, or you have a dirty appearance of Mount Kailash. What's the answer? You will say that both, because you are already philosophers. You already learned philosophy, right? So you will say both. Appearance of ice is also dirty, and reality is also dirty, right? So you will superimpose this appearance on the object. You're getting it? So you will say that the snow is dirty as well as the appearance. Appearance is also the appearance of a dirty snow, right? That is happening to you. Okay. Now I ask you to clean the glasses. Clean the glasses. You put it again. What is that? It's so clean, so pure. Then I'll say, Mount Kailash is clean or dirty? You will say very clean. But then earlier you said the dirty Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash is dirty. Where is this dirty Mount Kailash? Then what is your answer?
The glasses.
Huh?
The appearance was dirty.
Appearance. The Mount Kailash being dirty was nothing other than my perception. You're getting it? Mount Kailash being dirty which I saw as dirty, was not other than my own perception. Perception is subjective or object? Subjective. So this perception of the dirty, the Mount Kailash being dirty, which you saw earlier, was not nobody created this, other than your own mental exaggeration, mental misconception. It is only your mental misconception which created this Mount Kailash to be dirty, which you saw earlier, right? Okay, so that is purely your mental projection. Nothing, nobody really, no dirty Mount Kailash was there, and nobody created this. Nobody is responsible for that. It is our own misperception of seeing the Mount Kailash as dirty, and then we say the Mount Kailash is dirty. We do not say that my appearance taking place is then the appearance of a dirty Mount Kailash. You will not say this. You will say the Mount Kailash is dirty. So in actuality, you realize that this is just the appearance taking place, and that appearance is only you are responsible, no one else. Right? It is purely your creation. Nothing really there from the object as a dirty thing. Likewise, now look, going back to the example, the same person, going to the atomic level, just as when you remove when you clean the glasses, look at it, the dirty Mount Kailash disappeared, right? Likewise, when you go into the atomic level, the person which made you smile disappeared. Person which made you smile disappeared, right? Okay. So from there, if you could tally the two things, if you can juxtapose the two things, right? What would you tell me? That the perception of the person who appeared to me earlier, the person who made me smile earlier, it was just my earlier perception. Do you get something? Right? That was just my perception. It's not there, right? When I keep a little distance, then the perception comes back. Going closer to this object, it disappears. It's just my perception. This is so important. This is so important. Okay. Don't forget this also. So this is how we are training without any PowerPoint. Without PowerPoint presentation, this is a training given to us. Your mind should create a PowerPoint yourself, right? What? Number one is the person and atoms. Number two is Mount Kailash, the dirty Mount Kailash and the clean Mount Kailash. Two. Now number three, okay, these two should be in your mind very clearly, right? Don't forget, don't mix up them. Okay. Number three is we read. Okay. Okay, we read the Karma Rabri Mamenda Kumasuva Mirsis. Okay, page 15. Karma Rabri Mameda Kumasilva Chubuta Milamota Tinda Digestion Tedavata. Okay, page 15. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Okay. Now there are three things in your mind. You're getting it? Is there anyone who can share with us what do you think is one thing which is common among these three things? One is the person going into the electron microscope, the person disappears. Number two is the Mount Kailash, dirty Mount Kailash, and you realize that it was dirtiness is not really there. It is just my own mental projection. Number two. Number three is here a star, a visual aberration. Visual aberration meaning the ghost, right? A flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, say conditioned things as such. Particularly, let's say, the visual aberration, illusion, a dream. Okay, number 3. So what do you think is the commonality, a point of commonality among these 3 things? Anyone? Tenzu Vasala? Yes.
They're all coming from the mind.
Exactly. So they all, one thing that they're shared in all these 3 things, that all these 3 things. So the person which made me smile, then go towards the object, the person disappears. It's just atoms. So what appeared as a person earlier, it was just nothing but coming from a mind. Just as the very dirty Mount Kailash there. I said the Mount Kailash is dirty. You clean the glasses? Oh no, it was earlier what I saw as Mount Kailash being dirty was just my mental projection. Number 2, my mental projection. Then number 3, illusion, dream, they're all coming from my mind. This is something which is common to all these 3 things. This is so important. You're getting it? Okay. Now, when we have a problem, when we have a conflict with somebody else, when we have a conflict with someone else, so this conflict, how do we say this conflict, when you have a conflict, a little bit of altercation, a fight with other person. So would you say that, oh, I'm very upset with the person who appeared to my mind? Or you say, I'm upset with that person. I'm upset with that person, which means that your mental turbulence is grounded on the belief that the object is 100% from the object, nothing to do with my mind. When that projection comes, then the mental turbulence can occur. So whereas you realize that, say like in the dream, you had a fight with the person, your neighbor, in the dream, so much of fight, you mentally so disturbed, and then you wake up, right? You wake up, still you go to fight with the neighbor? No, you are so relieved because the person with whom I had a fight, that person was just my mental construct. It's not really there. When you realize that it's coming from a mind, your mind subsides and calms down. When you think that it's really from the object, then the mind is agitated. So in other words, when you see things as 100% from the object, then it leaves the room for the mind to be in turbulent state. Whereas when you realize that the object is not really from the object, it's just coming from a mind, the mind automatically subsides and cools down and feels the calmness. Okay, this is so important. So with this, now the point is, okay, so now going back to point 1, the person who made you smile, and then going into the electron microscope, the person disappears, right? Person disappears. So we started with a discussion on the person who is responsible for, say, igniting unhappiness in me, igniting happiness in me, unhappiness in me, the person, right? So this person has 2 parts, a body and a mind. You know? So we are dealing with the body. With the body, we see that the physical appearance of the person, with the face of the body, whatever, the appearance, we see that a certain state of the certain mental state is created is ignited within the mind. A feeling of appeal, feeling of repulsion, whatever is being created there by seeing the person. The moment we go into the person more closely towards the object with the help of electron microscope, we see that it's just the atoms, the person disappears. Right? Okay. Which of the two sees the object more closely? Your naked eyes or the electron microscope?
Microscope.
Electron microscope. With help of electron microscope, you see the object more closely, right? So, which means that if the electron microscope is closer to the object, the naked eyes is closer to the subject, is away from the object, away from the object. Okay. Now tell me, which of the two ways you see the person? With the naked eyes, when away from the object, or when closer to the object? Away from the object. Away from the object is closer to the subject. Closer to the object, the person disappears. Electrons and atoms come out. Right? Okay. Now, going closer to the object, we see that entity-wise, the person's body, and the atoms which constitute the person. The two things. When you go to the object, right? These two things are one. One meaning that if the person really exists there from the object, what we see is just atoms. Right? Then beyond, other than atoms, nothing is really there. So this is how we go there towards the object, and we see that the person is not different from these atoms. So entity-wise, the person and the object, these two are one. In other words, entity-wise is just the atoms. Entity-wise is just the atoms. You getting it? Okay. Now, but when you go towards the entity, the person disappears. Person arises where? When? Person arises when you go away from the object, closer to the subject. When you go away from the object, then again the person appears. You're getting it? Person appears. So that is closer to with the subject, then the person appears. When towards the object, the person disappears. You're getting it? Now, if the person makes sense, if the person exists, if the person, tell me, the person exists or not exists? That person who made you smile. Exists or not exists? It exists. If the person exists, how does it exist? Object or from the subject? From what we have analyzed now, from the subject. And of course, we cannot expect, wow, it's amazing, every other emptiness, right? Just one page will not be good enough, right? People study this for like 10, 20, 30, 40 years, meditate on this, but our attempt is an amazing step to take us closer to this understanding. Okay, now with this, the point is that, say, for the person, if you are to say that person exists, in which domain the person exists? Going closer to the object or going closer to the subject? Closer to the subject. Okay, which means that the subject has the power. Subject has a role to play for your existence, for the existence of the person. Yes, no? Subject has the role to play. Subject meaning your mind has a role to play, in contributing, also contributes to the existence of the person. Without the mind, if the mind does not contribute to the existence of the person, if the mind does not play any role in the existence of the person, then just discard the mind. Discard the spirit of the mind. If the mind is removed or discarded, then if something exists, it should exist where? Purely object or subject? Purely in the object. You're getting it? Okay, now if the person exists purely on the object, what have we discovered? It's only the atoms. So the atom should be the person, right? Atom should be the person. Okay, but the atoms are not person. Okay, tell me, why? How can you convince me that the atoms are not a person? Anyone? You said the atoms are not a person, right? If the person exists objectively, 100% of the object, where the mind does not have any role to play, then cast aside all the mind. And then if the person exists, then it should exist purely from the object. The mind does not have a role to play, subject does not have a role to play, it should exist from the object. If it exists from the object, then the atoms, what we really see here is just atoms. And the atoms should be a person, but you are saying the atoms are not a person. How can you say the atoms are not a person? Anyone?
The visual appearance.
Raise your hands. Anyone? 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 Yes. Here.
The visual appearance.
Use the mic.
The visual appearance is different.
Okay, visual appearance of the person and the visual appearance of the atoms. These two are different. How?
It looks different. It appears different.
Okay, maybe.
Like atoms are subtle, neutral, not
What do you mean?
positive.
What do you mean by neutral?
By neutral, I mean they don't give us a positive feeling or negative
Very
feeling.
good.
And earlier, the person gave us either a positive feeling or a negative feeling, so that's more gross and gives us has the ability to incite a feeling in us, while the atoms do not.
Very good, very good. Okay, so the atoms are not a person, because the person is described as male, female. Atoms are not no male, female, right? And the person has the capacity to give rise to appeal feeling or repulsion and so forth, but the atoms do not have that capacity. So therefore the atoms are for sure not the person, right? Okay, now we see that if it is purely objective, then the person makes no sense. Person makes no sense, because going towards the object, person disappears. And what's left, if there is something there from the object, what's left is like the atoms. And none of the atoms is the person, right? So the person, concept of person is dismantled. Concept of person disappears. It makes no sense now. If that is the case, then the whole world will make no sense. Whole world will make no sense. Okay, now, if you still want to maintain the sense of the person, how should you make it happen? Bring in the subject, right? And say that subject also has a role to play. Subject also has a role to play for the existence of the person. You're getting it? Okay. Which means that if the subject is excluded, then the person does not really exist. Person exists only through the appearance happening to the subject of mind. And this appearance is happening to your mind, not to someone else's mind, right? So therefore, you are the creator of everything. Your mind is the creator of everything. So this you can apply to everything else, not only the person, the flower, the house, the galaxy, the whole universe. You can apply this to every phenomenon. Okay, now this is, so therefore the mind should have the role to play. If the mind does not have a role to play, the whole concept of the person dissolves. Whole concept of the person's body dissolves. Then likewise, whole concept of the person's mind dissolves. You getting it? Okay, so therefore the mind should have a role to play. If the mind has a role to play, right? Okay, let's say true existence and false existence. True existence and false existence. Okay, let's say that you are interviewing someone, the person, and why are you, okay, let's say, so generally speaking, let's say a true flower and a false flower. How do you distinguish a true flower from a false flower? Anyone? This is so important. This is so important.
A false flower might not have all the qualities of a true flower in it. For example, the smell might be missing, the living property might be missing, etc.
Okay, let's say a water and a mirage. How would you distinguish the water from a mirage, or mirage from a water? Anyone else? Anyone? Okay, Madhuji.
The mirage is an illusion of which gives the appearance of it.
Okay, mirage, it gives one appearance. That appearance does not tally with the reality, right? Water, it gives us an appearance, but it tallies with the reality. This is in a loose sense. In a mundane example, mirage appears as water, there's appearance of water, but in actuality, it is empty of being water. So this is the meaning of mirage, meaning that it appears one way, but the reality is empty of that appearance. The reality is empty of that appearance, which means that there's something coming to the appearance, but that appearance doesn't tally with the reality. You're getting it? Okay. So this is the meaning of falsity. This is the meaning of deception. Okay. I'd like to make sure that this group, okay, the online participants are exempted. Okay, those here, somebody tell me. Now from what we have learned, from what Madhuji said, your name? What Nivedita said, okay, tell me. Anyone, tell me, what do you understand by falsity or deception? Very quick. Quick, from what we have discussed now. Anyone? Ajila?
The appearance does not tally with the reality.
Perfect. Right? Okay. So when the appearance doesn't tally with the reality meaning from the object there's something there. Appearance happening where? Subject or object? Appearance happening on the subject. What is on the subject? What is on the object? These two don't tally. This is known as deception. You agree with me now? Yeah. This is so important. Right? Okay. With this, tell me, with the person and going through the electron microscope, you see the atoms. What is on the object? What do you see? By going through the electron microscope, going through the object, what do you see? Atoms. Right? What is the appearance? When you go out of the electron microscope, what is the appearance? The person. You're getting it? So when you go towards the object, that appearance, what appeared, is it there on the object or it disappeared? It disappeared, which means that what appeared is actually empty on the object. So therefore it is falsity. It is deceptive. You're getting it? It is deceptive. So with this, though it is deceptive, still the person exists. Still the person exists in this deceptive form. In this deceptive form, still the person exists. So how can you posit a person existing in a deceptive form? Only if deception is what? Appearance. Appearance happening on the mind. The mind is the subject. Only if the subject has a role to play. Subject has a role to play, that it exists but a part of the subject. When it says it exists by the part of the subject, then from the object side, that's 100%, 10%, whatever. When you say subject part from the object, the subject, then it's not 100% from the object. You agree with me? When it's not 100% from the object, then there's a discrepancy between the appearance and reality. Appearance-wise, there's something coming, and the object-wise, it is not really what is appearing is what you find there in the object. So there's a discrepancy between appearance and the reality. You're getting it? Okay. On the appearance level, the person appears. On the object level, the person disappears. You agree with me or not? Okay. On the object level, what is there? Just atoms. On the appearance level, the person is there and the atoms are there, right? Atoms are there, the person is there in your thought. These two are different, these two are one in your thought. These two are different. In your thought, these two are different. Isolated-wise, these two are different. And going towards the object, the person disappears. There's only one thing, there's no two things. So entity-wise is one. There's no two entities, right? So entity-wise is one, meaning that the person disappears. If you want to make sense of the person, then you should include the subjectivity there, where the person and the atoms, they appear as different two entities. You're getting it? So only when the two entities, not two entities, the two isolates, only when the person and the atoms, these two appear two, these two come as two. then the person is a clear indication that the person is also there, not only the atoms, also the person is there. You agree with me? Okay. Whereas when these two are one, when do you see that these two are one? When go towards the object. Go towards the object, there's no two things. Which of the two disappeared? The person disappeared. There's only one thing. Entity-wise, there's only one. Right? Entity-wise, there's only one. Which means the person disappeared. So when you speak of the entities, the person disappeared. So if you want to include the person, this can make sense only when the subjectivity is included. And what is happening on the subject, if it is missing on the object, there's a discrepancy between the object and subject. You getting it? What is happening on the subject if that is missing on the object? Okay, in this analysis, do you see something on the subject which is missing on the object? What is that thing? The person, right? Person appears on the subject, but when you go closer to the object, the person disappears. So there's a discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. So this appearance, discrepancy between appearance and reality is known as falsity, deception. You're getting it? So if anything has to exist by the power of the mind, invariably what you're saying is that there's a discrepancy between the appearance and reality. If something exists by the power of the mind, which means that it's not 100% from the object. If it is from the mind, not from the object, 100% from the object, there's a discrepancy between the object and subject. You agree with me? Same, if you say that, okay, this boy, right? This boy has become the professor of, okay, I'm not being cynical about the professors, there are a number of professors here, right? This boy has become the professor because for the interview, his brother came there, whose Nobel laureate in physics, who looks so alike, who looks so similar to this boy, he appeared for the interview. So therefore he got the job, right? Okay. Which means that the interview was objectively done. Was there objectivity there with the interview, or is influenced by some others? What is the object? Person A. And who came for the interview? Person A's brother came, right? Okay. Now, the knowledge made the person get the job. But the knowledge, is it the knowledge of the person A or the knowledge of person A's brother? Brother. Because of which this interview is a good interview or a hopeless interview? Hopeless interview, right? It's a deceptive, it's not a reality. It is not the truth, it is a deceptive, it is a falsity. Okay, so the moment the subjectivity is involved, this is so important. The moment the subjectivity is involved, not really from the object, subject involved, this is known as deception. Right? The dream is coming from your mind. So therefore dream is known as deception. Why? So some people, they are so obsessed with the dreams. Oh, I had this dream, something bad is happening to me because I had this dream, or something good is happening to me because of this dream. Then, for example, if you're next to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he will say that the dream is just illusion, right? Which means it's purely subjective, right? So therefore, it is deceptive. It is not reliable. So therefore, the thought from this, what you would learn is that if something is coming from a mind, this is the connotation of deceptivity. Don't forget it. That's something that comes from mind. This is, okay, yes, it makes, with this reasoning, it makes sense, but it doesn't really come to my mind directly that something comes from the subject, it should be deceptive, right? Okay, don't worry. If this is coming right now, right, my teacher would be so happy, right? The happiness that he would get otherwise after like 30 years or 50 years, he will get it within one day, seeing that you are getting this brilliant experience, that subjectivity is synonymous with deceptivity, right? Okay, but this is a fact, and this conviction will come to us slowly because we are so addicted to seeing things as so truly, right? Okay, so with this, what we are saying, what we have learned here is that entity-wise, what you find, just atoms. Entity-wise, there's one or two things, only one, right? Entity-wise is just one. Isolated-wise, there are two. You're getting it? 1 and 2, 1 and 1 versus 2. 2, does it tell you with 1 or it doesn't tell you with 1? It does not tell you with 1, right? Okay, so because it doesn't tell you with the 1, this is known as discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. So the person which you are interested in, the person exists where? On the entities or on the isolates? On the isolates. The person exists on the isolate level, not on the entity level, right? From how we understand it now. So the isolate what? Isolate is just the thinking, your subjectivity, your mind. So if the mind does not have a role to play for the existence of any phenomena, then a person should not be existing. Right? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
If the mind has no role to play, then a person cannot exist because the person comes into reality or comes to make sense only if when it appears to the mind. The moment the mind does not have the role to play, then whether it appears or not appears, it doesn't matter. Just keep that aside. Everything should be 100% from the object. From the object, what have you seen? From the object is entity-wise. Entity-wise, what have you seen? You've just seen one thing. What is that one thing? Just the atoms. And atoms are not a person. So where's the person? Person makes no sense. So if you want to keep the person make sense, you have to include the subjectivity. If you want to make the person's sense, give a sense to the person, then you must include the falsity. Right? Things existing only through falsity. In the false way, still things exist. You're getting it? Okay, this is so important. Okay, now from this, tell me, the person from what we've discussed thus far, tell me, the person comes into being with respect to which of the two perceptions, through electron microscope or through the naked eyes? Through the person comes into being through electron microscope or through the naked eyes? Okay, which of the two is closer towards the subject? Which of the two is closer to the object? Which is the closer towards the subject? The naked eyes. Which is closer towards the object? Electron microscope. Electron microscope will take you closer to the object. Right? Okay. So of the two, the person appears where? When? Through the electron microscope. When you go into the object or go into the subject? Going towards the subject. So without the inclusion of the subjectivity, without the inclusion of the subjective mind, person makes no sense. You're getting it? So the person exists only through the subjective appearance involved. You're getting it? You agree with me? Very good. Okay. Now let's see. Let's read further. Third para. The same page 208, third para. Given that the whole and the parts will be unrelated if they have distinct entities. Okay, entities. If you go towards the entities, towards the object, if the whole and the parts, the person as a whole and the atoms as the parts, if these two are entity-wise distinct, objectively, you should be seeing two things. By going through the electron microscope, do you see two things or one thing? If you see two things, the person as well as the atoms, then these two should be totally unrelated. Like you look at the prayer flags, the blue prayer flag and the green prayer flag. These two are totally unrelated flags, right? Two unrelated flags. For example, say Logeshi and Venerable Hindullah, two unrelated people. Likewise, if the person and the atoms which constitute the person, if these two are seen on the anti-device as two distinct entities, then these two should be two unrelated things. Are these two related or not related? Atoms which constitute the person and a person, these two are related or not related? How they are related? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Yes.
Because the whole is made up of parts. Because the person is made of the parts.
Because the person as the whole is made of the atoms as the parts. Whole is made of the atoms. Okay. How can you say that if the whole is made of the parts, these two are related? How can you say this? Say this is a very good answer, but the question is how can you convince a very ordinary person that these two are related, right? How the whole and the parts, if the whole is made out of the parts, how can you say in a very easy form, how can you say that the whole is related to the parts or the parts are related to the whole? Anyone? Huh? Jodela?
By the virtue of eliminating the parts, the whole is eliminated, and on the other way, by
Okay.
the virtue
Okay. By virtue of eliminating the whole, the parts are eliminated. By virtue of eliminating the parts, the whole is eliminated. Very good. Anyone else? Yes, Piola?
The parts are dependent on the whole for it to be a whole.
Okay, the parts, they are related because there's a dependency there. The parts are dependent on the whole is dependent on the parts. They're mutually dependent, right? Okay, very good. Anyone else? I'm looking at it I'm waiting for an answer from a very non-philosophical point of view. You are all very philosophers. From non-philosophical point of view. Yes, all these are brilliant, wonderful answers. I'm so happy, right? I'm still waiting for an answer. Yes, Mela?
You point to the same thing. When you talk about the whole, you point to the same thing you point to when you talk about the parts.
Okay, when you point to the parts or when you are to point to the whole, there's no way other than to pointing to the parts. So these two are related. Very good. Anyone else?
The nature.
At the bottom?
The nature of the parts and the whole needs to be the same.
Like what?
Like they cannot be of different natures, otherwise.
Like what? Like what?
For example, if I'm
Atoms and the person.
yes. For example, if I'm a part of my family, I need
Yes,
to.
you and your family then.
Yeah, I need to share the same surname. I need to be in the house. I mean, born of my mother and raised by my family, taken care of by my family. So, the nature of there needs to be some essential commonality between that of the part and the whole.
There should be some commonalities. Very good. Can you give me something which is not too flexible, yet easy to understand, yet makes total sense? Anyone? Yes, Tukeshla? So, sharing a commonality, nature, sharing a common nature. Give me an example.
Well, I have to be able to uniquely identify a person looking at the atoms. So, because I'm not identifying, let's say, a dog when I'm looking at a person, I'm identifying a person. So that's why those parts are specifically for that person. So that's why they are related.
Okay, so there's also another thing. The identifying the bunch of atoms related to the person, related to a man, let's say.
Uniquely related to that person.
Uniquely. So that is related to the person because on the basis of these bunch of atoms, you can say it's a human being, not a dog. Right? This is a wonderful way of saying this. Anyone else? Yes, Ninjusala?
Krishna, philosophically speaking, going to what Krishna said, infallible dependent origination.
Huh?
Infallible dependent origination.
How?
Because on the basis of those atoms.
Okay, by dependence on those particular atoms, uniquely you can say that is a human being on that basis. Very good. Okay, let's say on the the name of the person.
If you say just first practitioner,
parts in the whole come to you. One person.
Or what? The Madhuji is supporting this point or supporting? Okay, referring to the same the person. Very good. Yes. Okay, we are all getting the answer. Yeah, all the answers given are excellent, right? Okay, let's say the parts and the parts in the whole. Let's say a person, a boy or a girl, is on the basis of the body, and the body is not the person. Body is a part of the person. On the basis of the body, we describe the person as boy or girl. The mind is not a person. On the basis of the mind, we describe the person as compassion, not compassion, so forth. So the mind and the person shares a commonality in terms of the nature of being kind, nature of being sharp, nature of being stable, nature of being easily irritable, right? Nature of being the very stable, nature of being, say, what? What are the qualities? Mental qualities. Okay, so we see that on the basis of the mental qualities, we can describe the person. So the person and the person's part, mind as a part, these two share so many commonalities. Likewise, the person and the person's body share so many things in common. Okay, very good. Okay, we're getting there. Now let's read. So now from this, what we have to learn is that the mind has a role to play. A subject has a role to play. You're getting it? Subject has a role to play for the existence of the person. Right? One. Another very important thing which we learned is that the moment the subjectivity is involved, it is the connotation of deceptivity or falsity. Right? Falsity. False existence. Right? Existence, but false existence. Okay, let's read. Given that the whole and parts will be unrelated if they have distinct entities, reject the distinctness of the two to show that the whole and the parts are the same nature. So here, right, we can do it in say, how we study the logic. When we study the logic, okay, so where is the person? Where is the table? It's here. Where is the top line of the table is here. We point to the same object for the reference of the two labels. So therefore, these are entity-wise one. If these two entity-wise different, these two will become unrelated. This is how we go into the logic. Now going more into the emptiness meditation. Say we go closer to this object. Entity meaning entity by one different means you go closer to this object. Going closer to the object, the person disappears, and what entity is left? Only the atoms are left. You're getting it? And that too, it's not that the atoms are left. If there is something left, this is the qualification. I'm not saying that atoms are left. I'm saying if there is something left, it should be none other than the atoms. Okay, so if there is something left, there's only one entity left. There's no two entities. So entity-wise is only one. When you say entity-wise one, from that understanding, entity-wise one, then the person does not have any role. The person disappears. But if you have to say the person does exist, then it should exist only when not only the atoms, also the person exists. So the atoms plus the person existing happens on the object or on the subject. On the subject. When you go towards the subject, then you say, oh, the person looks like this, the person makes me like the unhappy. Atoms, they are neutral. So these two are different on the appearance level, on the absolute level, these two are different. Only when you bring the isolate concept here, isolate concept, then the person can possibly exist, because there are two things, not only the atoms, person also exists. Because isolate wise there are two, right? So this isolate is what? Is from the object or from the subject? Is from the subject. So therefore the person makes sense only on the isolated level, only on the subjective level. Whereas if the subject does not have a role to play, if the subject has no power to posit the person, then you discard the subject. Then you have to go purely into the object. Going purely into the object, you only end up seeing the atoms. The person disappears. So the concept of person dissolves. The concept of person dismantles the moment you go into the object. You're getting it? Okay, so let's see. Given that the whole and the parts will be unrelated if they have distinct entities. Reject the distinctness of the two to show that the whole and the parts are of the same nature. Meaning, with this analysis going towards the object, you see that there's only one thing. Same nature meaning there's only one thing. There's only one thing, which is the atoms. Right? Atoms, the person disappears. So there's only one thing. Okay, same nature. However much we may reflect upon their relationship, while in reality the two exist as same nature, they undeniably appear as distinct natures. Appear meaning isolate or the entities. Appear meaning isolates or entities. Isolates. How? Huh? How? Isolates. Isolate the appear meaning isolates or the entities. Isolates. Wow, now the Tibet house people, they become very confident. Okay, appear, the moment we say appear, it is the subjectivity, right? So it is the isolates, how it appears to our conceptual mind. Okay, so undeniably appear as distinct entities, two things. So when two things are there, when two things appear, when two things come into being, then the person also comes into, not only the atoms, the person also comes into being. Right? Not only the atoms, the person also comes into being. Whereas if it is only the atoms, the person disappears. When is there only the atoms? When is the same nature? When is the same nature? Object or the entity or the isolates? Entity. When you go into the entities, the person disappears. There's only one entity there, the atoms. When you come to, then a person makes sense when there's only one entity or when there's only one or two. Two, and the two happens where? On the subject or the object? On the subject, right? So the subject should have a role to play if you insist that the person exists. If you insist the person exists, then the subject has the role to play. If the subject doesn't have the role to play, isolate will make no sense. If the isolate makes no sense, then everything that exists should be on the entities. Going towards entities, if there is something, it's only the atoms, the person is not there. You're getting it? So if you want to say that a person exists, then person and the atoms must appear as two isolates. So that these two things appearing as two happens where? On the subject or on the object? Subject. Subject is the metal. So the mind plays a role, right? Okay. If your mind does not have the role to play, just imagine. If your mind does not have a role to play, do you think that you're going to see the person? Right? That the person will not at all make any sense. Okay, let's see. However much we may reflect upon the relationship, meaning what? Relationship between what? The person, the whole and the parts. The person, the atoms, or the whole and parts, while in reality meaning on the object, entities. While on the reality meaning entities, right? Okay, so the point is how these words are used here. The author did not use the word entities here. The reality, this is so important. So slowly, this is how it is very skillfully taken to the dissolving the concept of the reality. Right? Okay. While in reality meaning what? For the time being. So, object. The moment the subject is involved, then it becomes non-real. It becomes deceptive. You learn that? The moment the subject is involved, then it becomes falsity, deceptive. If it is real, then it should be purely from the object, not from the subject. Subject should have no role. Okay. In reality meaning towards the object. In reality, the parts of the whole exist as same nature, but they undeniably appear as distinct entities. Meaning, okay, here, how they appear as on the subject. On the subject, these two things appear as two things, two entities, two things. right? Okay, so here entities, don't be too rigid. Let's say two things. On the subject, they appear as two things. Two things. And these translations, they are very literally done, right? The translation which I did here is so literally done to be as loyal, because philosophy, particularly going to a very sophisticated, nuanced philosophy, just alter the translation if you're not loyal to the original, particularly such a refined author like Laban Tsongkhapa. If you just being flexible with the words, then you're going to miss the nuances. So therefore, I've been try to be so loyal to the wordings used. So reality is a reality there. It's not that, oh, okay, you can translate it as an objective entity. No, it's reality, right? What is you say there in Tibetan, original Tibetan. Okay. Appear as distinct entities. This word is used entities, distinct entities. So thus far what we've learned is what? Entities meaning object, from the object side, two things, right? Now the entity is like the two solid things. Two solid things in your mind, two solid things of the object entities. Two solid things in your mind, right? If it's purely mental, then the person and the atoms, they become two different things. If it's purely mental, not purely subject, not purely object, purely mental, then these two becomes two things, right? Okay, two entities. Now what happens? There is when you go towards object, it's only one. Going towards the subject, there are two. You're getting it? Right? You're getting it? Going towards the object, it's just atoms. Going towards the subject, atoms and the person. Right? Is there discrepancy or these two tally? Appearance and the object. There's a discrepancy there. You're getting it? Okay. So this discrepancy is possible for the false existence or for a true existence? Only for a false existence. Right? Okay. So it's like a magical illusion. This then discerns the union of the appearance in one way, right? Appearance in one way. What is appearance? That there are two things. But the emptiness of the object existing in the other way. Object existing in the other way. Appearance, and what's the opposite of the appearance? From the object. From the object, and appearance is one. Appearance, these two things, person and atoms appear as two, right? And on the object is just atoms. The two is not there, it's only one nature, right? One nature, one appearance, two. So this two-ness that you see in the appearance is lacking in the on the object. So let's say appearance and the reality. Reality referring to the object. Appearance and real. Appearance is two. What two? What two? Which two? The person and the atoms. And the reality referring to the object. Reality is just atoms, no person. It's just one. Reality is one. Appearance two. You're getting it? Okay. Now let's say appearance two. This two. What happens to this two? When you go to the reality, these two are empty, right? You're getting it? On the appearance, there are two. On the reality, is empty of being two. Right? So what you see on the appearance is empty on the reality. You're getting it? So what is on the appearance? If it is empty on the reality, this is known as illusion-like. Right? Okay. Like a magical illusion, this then discerns the union of the appearance in one way. Union. Okay, union. Union means there should be two things. There are so many two. There are so many twos, right? One two is what? The person and the atoms. Parts and the whole. Two. Now here the union. Union means again two. Union is appearance, right? Appearance. Two things appearing one side. The other part is, the counterpart is, on the object reality is empty of being one, empty of being two. Appearance, two. Reality, empty of being two. Right? So this union. Union means there should be two things, right? Union means there should be two things. Okay, what are the two things that we're talking about here in the concept of union here? One is the person, and the other one is the atoms. Right? Okay, I can easily take you anywhere. Right? Okay, what is a union? I said there are so many two twos. One two is the parts and the whole. There are two, right? Another two is on the appearance level. There are two things happening on the appearance level, and on the reality is empty of being two. So the union is for union we share two things. The first one is on the appearance. Okay, this you must be able to say this, right? If you're able to say this and later you forget it, I'm not responsible. Right? Okay, union, this word union. Union should have two things. For the two things A and B, the A is on the appearance level, B is on the reality. What is the A? On the appearance level, there is a two. Which two? Person and the atoms, or the parts and the whole. Two. And the reality, emptiness of the two disappears. Right? Okay, appearance, there's a two-ness in the appearance, and on the reality, emptiness to two-ness. There are two things. So these two things coming together is possible only for the illusion-like nature. Illusion-like. So this union, in other words, discrepancy in appearance and reality. This union is possible only if things exist falsely or deceptively. Right? Why? Because existence should be possible with the subjectivity involved, which is different from the objectivity, right? So if the subjectivity is involved, it becomes a deceptive existence. You getting it? When the subjectivity is involved, when something exists by the part of the mind, by the part of the subject, then it automatically becomes deceptive existence. You agree with me or not? Okay, it may take a little time, don't worry, right? I can see from your face that you're not too happy. Right? Although you already said it, right from the beginning, I asked you to define what is deception. I asked you to define what is illusion. It is you who said it. Now you disagree with that, right? What you said was that deception is when the appearance and the reality do not tally. This is what you said. When the subjectivity is involved, when the subjective mind is involved, which means that the object cannot contribute to the fully contribute to the existence of the object. So the subject is also required. If the subject is required for the existence of the object cannot 100% contribute. Cannot contribute 100% from the object. If that is not done, then what is missing from the object is given by the subject. So from the object something is missing, and that is what? Not replace, what? Huh? That is substituted, or is actually done by the subject, complemented by the subject. So when the subject complements to the existence, which is lacking from the object, which means that object and the subject, these two do not tally. When they don't tally, this is discrepancy. Right? Okay. Let's say you want to buy a mobile. Right? And the mobile costs you 10,000. And then you pay 5,000 and I pay what? No, you pay 2,000, I pay 8,000. Is there discrepancy between your contribution, my contribution?
Yes.
What's the discrepancy? I paid more, right? So what I paid, you did not pay. This is discrepancy. What the subject provides, object did not provide for the existence of the object. So this is discrepancy, right? Okay, look how difficult it is to understand emptiness. Even you forgot the meaning of discrepancy. Right? You forgot the word. You're all good you're all very good in English. Now you forgot the word discrepancy. Discrepancy means when there's a gap with the two things. How the subjective mind projects and what exists from the object, the two do not agree. This is known as discrepancy. So when the subject contributes something, why the subject has to contribute? If the subject does not contribute, the object cannot give rise to the whole, give rise to the person, right? Fully. So therefore, the subject has to. When the moment the subject is included, is missing from the object. What is missing from the object is still the subject. We see it from the subject. This is known as illusion, right? Okay, it's fine. Okay, tell me. Okay, let's say this union. Tell me, the union should have two things in this context. Union, in this context, in the context of the union here, what are the two things? Appearance of the whole and the parts is two, and the reality, emptiness of the whole and parts is two. Right? These two things. Okay, good. Let's write this union. Right? Down there, you have a little space down there at the end. There's a little space there. You note it down. The union is equals A plus B. Union equals A plus B. What is A? A is appearance of the whole and the parts is two. Subjective appearance. Let's add this word subjective. Subjective appearance of the whole and parts is two. B. Right. Okay. B. What's the B?
Reality.
The reality of the emptiness. Okay. Emptiness. Okay, let's say emptiness of the whole and parts is two on the reality. Emptiness of the whole and parts is two. Emptiness of the whole and parts is two on the reality. In other words, on the appearance, whole and parts are two. On the reality, whole and parts are empty of being two. Right? So A and B, you're getting it? Okay. So these two things, A and B, A is what? Appearance, B is reality. Are these two identical or these two different? If the reality and the appearance, these two are different, this is known as discrepancy. When the discrepancy happens between appearance and reality, this is known as illusion like. You're getting it? You got it now? Okay, now tell me, before we leave, tell me, what are the two components which are required for the union in this context? In the context of the union here, this word union used here, what are the two components? Tell me. Okay, the union, two components are required. What are the two? The whole and the parts. Yes, no? Okay, raise your hands, those who agree with me. What I'm saying is, union here, union always has connotation to two things. So in this context, the union, the two components are the whole and the parts. How many of you agree with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Wow, it's terrible. Okay. Okay. What are the two components in the concept of the union? This word union used here. The two components, parts and the whole. Raise your hands. You agree with me? Raise your hands. Okay, those who raise your hand, you now become a little hesitant. Okay, is there anyone who likes to give your opinion What are the two? What are the two components? Radhika ji?
Subjective appearance of wholes and parts is 2, and emptiness of wholes and parts is 2 on reality.
Very good. One component is the subjective appearance of the what? The whole and parts is 2. Whole and parts as 2 on the subjective appearance. Then on the reality, that the subject 2, subject the what? Whole and parts being 2 is empty. Emptiness of the whole and parts being 2. Emptiness of being 2 of the whole and parts on the reality, right? So these are two components, not just the whole and parts, right? Just to say whole and parts is very easy, right? Okay, so these are two components. If you're able to say this, if you're able, how many of you are able to say this now? What are the two components of the? What are the two components of the union? The word union used in this text, in this passage. How many of you know this now? You raise your hands. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. If you don't raise your hands, I will ask you what are the two. Can you raise your hands? Okay, all of you raise your hands, right? Okay. All of you raise your hands. Now, next time if there's any problem, I'm not responsible. For the time you got the answer. Next time you say again, what is union? What are the two components? Whole and parts. If you say this, I'm not responsible. Right? Okay, you've not only that, you've also written that down. Union connotes A plus B. What is A? A is the subjective appearance of the whole and parts is 2. Subjective appearance. You can make it like subjective appearance. And then equals whole and parts is 2. Right? What is B? Reality. On the reality. Right? Equals emptiness of whole and parts is 2. Emptiness of the trueness of the whole and parts. Emptiness of the trueness of the whole and parts. We getting it? Okay. Then you see that then A and B, these two are not same. Appearance and reality. A is the reality. No, A is the appearance, B is the reality. And appearance, reality, these two are not two. These two are not same. If they're not same, then there's a discrepancy. Where there's a discrepancy between appearance and reality, the reality is illusion line. Okay. Okay, like a magical illusion, this then discerns the union of the appearance in one way. Appearance one way, how? In what way? Appearance of the object, the whole and the parts as 2, but the emptiness of the object existing in the other way. Emptiness of the object existing, whole and parts existing as 2, right? Okay. While this union is consistent with the false existence or true existence? False existence. While this union finds no inconsistency with the deceptive mode of existence. Do you agree? Very clear now. Well, existence where, what do you mean by false existence? False existence is a subjective existence. You're getting it? Where now false existence is explaining what false existence is. Where things are posited through the power of the appearance to mind. Appearance to mind means subjective appearance. Where things is part of the appearance to mind. This is one thing. Now the next part. It is absolutely not feasible. This union not feasible with false existence or true existence. Not the consistent with the not feasible with the true existence. It is what do you mean by true existence? Things existing without the power of the mind. Things existing not by the power of the mind is known as true existence. What is meant by false existence? Existence by the power of the mind. Okay. It is absolutely not feasible. It is referring to the union. The union is absolutely not feasible for an object whose mode of existence is not through the power of the mind. Not through the power of the object's appearance to a mind. You getting it? Okay. Now, in the case of true existence, what should be true existence like? True existence what? How would you understand? What do you understand by true existence?
Without the involvement of
Existence without the involvement of the part of the mind. In the case of true existence, which is explained earlier, existing without a part of the mind, it is not permissible to have inconsistencies between the appearance and the mode of existence. You agree? Wow, I can see that you're very relaxed. Okay, existence of the object as it is in the utter absence of falsities. True existence means it should be totally free of falsities. It is utter absence of falsities that true existence should exist. You getting it? You got this. Now, if this next line would be helpful to increase our, the logical mind. Moreover, they being now, true existence means existing not by the power of the mind, existing purely by the power of the object, where the mind does not have a role to play. You getting it? Okay. Moreover, meaning if things exist truly, then the mind does not have the role to play. So discard the mind, right? Okay. See, tell me, the parts and the whole, are these two one or different? Are these two one or different? Huh? Are these two one or different? Are these two one or different? Okay, tell me. The person and the atoms which constitute the person, the parts and the whole. The person makes you say, your mother, very kind mother. Not only kind mother, you also admit that your mother is very kind to you. In many cases, this is a problem. Your mother is so kind to you and you don't admit that your mother is kind. So mother is so kind to you and you admit your mother is so kind to you. So there, you see the mother, what's your feeling? Very pleasant feeling. You see the atoms of the mother, what's the feeling? Neutral. Okay, is there a difference?
yes.
Yes. Because there's a difference, the parts of the whole, the mother is the whole, and the atoms which constitute the mother as to the parts, there's a difference. There's a difference. With this, what you have to learn is that two things are isolated-wise different is the meaning of difference. Don't forget it. If two things are isolated-wise different, these two are different. You're getting it? Whether these two are two things or one thing, that is, it depends on the acuity of your debate skill. But what is two isolated-wise different should be is the meaning of different. Right? Don't forget it. And debates can be there, but this is a very important position. What is isolated-wise different is the meaning of difference. Two things are isolated different; these two are different. Don't forget it, right? Okay. So your mother and the atoms which constitute your mother, are these two different or these two one? Different. Okay. These two are different. Now, these two be different is because of the subject or because of the object? How come? Huh?
Because it's isolated.
No, this is your philosophy study, right? This is your study of logic. Tell me, say these two are different. The mother and the atoms which constitute mother. These two being different, you said that these two are different because one is very pleasant to look at and the other one is neutral to look at. These two are different. So the fact that these two are different is on the basis of your subjective or objective?
Subjective.
Huh?
Subjective.
Subjective, not objective.
No.
How not? Tell me. Tejala, how not?
Because when you go to the object, there's only one thing.
Okay, when you go towards the object,
Yes.
right, if these two are different things, then they should be two things. But when you go towards the object, we see only one entity, only one nature, only one. So therefore, there are no two things, right? There are no two things. If there are no two things, difference makes no sense. So difference makes sense only with the subjective element, subjectivity. Whereas if things exist truly, then the mind, the things should not exist by the power of the mind. You agree with me or not? Things should not exist. Existence should be independent of the power of the mind. Okay. If things exist independent of the power of the mind, mind has no role to play for the existence of the object. Which means even without mind, things should exist. Even without the mind, if things exist, things should exist objectively. 100% objectively. If it is 100% objectively, then these two things being different should be 100% from the object. The mother, the whole and the parts, that these two should be different, should be 100% from the object. What two things 100% from the object is known as entity-wise? Different. You're getting it? Entity-wise different. Okay. Any mind which sees these two things as entity-wise different, is it deceptive mind or valid mind? It should be deceptive mind, but if the object exists truly, then the parts and the whole should truly exist as two. Then the mind which sees these two things as two entities should not be a deceptive mind, should be a valid mind. You getting it? Okay, let's read this. Moreover meaning, if things truly exist, they being of the same nature, they referring to the whole and the parts, being of the same nature becomes untenable. Because there should be two things. Are these two or are these two different or these two one? These two are different. And if the mind does not have a role to play, then the fact that these two are different should be from the object. If these two are different from the object, they should be two entities. Then if they are two entities, they cannot be one nature. They cannot be same nature. So they being of the same nature becomes untenable. You cannot defend that these two are of the same nature. As the mind perceiving them as distinct natures becomes non-mistaken otherwise. You getting it? Okay, we are done now. Right? Okay. Now, the remaining part we will do the next Sunday. Remaining part meaning from page 209 of this, we'll do the next Sunday. Okay, maybe one or two questions if you have. Lokeshla?
In general language, when we say there is discrepancy between A and B, we try to search for whether A is wrong or B is wrong. When we say A, one of them will be correct, one will be wrong. Here, the B, which is the subjective part of it, and we have been calling it falsity anyway, why can't we just say that this B is wrong and A has to be existence is there, and that is also the conflict or the
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, did you follow the question? When you say discrepancy between the reality and what I say, okay, discrepancy between what Lokeshla said and what I said. If there's a discrepancy, either what he said should be wrong or what I said should be wrong. Right? Okay. Same, likewise, if A and B, if there's a discrepancy, why don't we say that A is true and B is wrong? Rather than saying that the
union of
why do you go through all these things? Wow, it's amazing. Wow. Okay. This is
So essentially it's giving rise to the emptiness of.
okay. So very good, yes. So later on when I confront difficulty, I'll invite Matuji to defend me. Okay, so the point is, right, say right, wrong. In a loose sense, don't think that you are, I should defend mathematical philosophers. Right? In a loose sense, out of what we've learned from this text, what have we learned? Appearance versus from what the words that we use here, appearance versus reality, right? Already we said there is a discrepancy between the reality and the appearance. Reality means it's the truth. Appearance means it's false. Already decided. Now with this, it's very interesting. Interesting thing is that the person, which is so important, the person, I I'm so important, you're so important, my family is so important, and my fame is so important. No, my fame is not important, my state of emptiness is so important. Right? Bodhicitta is so important. No. They forget about the bodhicitta, my selfishness is so important. My courage. No, bodhicitta is so important. All these things make sense on the subjective false level, not on the true level, on the false level. So therefore, on this false level, everything operates. So this is amazing, right? While everything is operating on the falsity, still things operate so efficaciously, so precisely, right? Everything is operating false. But how do we see things? Look at things now. Do you see things as false or as so truly real? Truly real. See things as so truly real. This is what creates all the problems, and discovering that things are operating on the falsity, on the level of the falsity. This is what dissolves our misperception of seeing things as true, right? So this perception of the reality that things are all false, reality that things are not real, the reality, discovering the reality that things are not real. This dismantles the reality, right? This dismantles our vision of the reality. Our vision of the reality is responsible for all our tension, stress, depression, anxiety, and miseries, right? So therefore, it's amazing. From this, what we discover is that things make sense only on the falsity level, on the subjective level. Subjective level versus reality, right? Subjective level versus reality. So A and B, there's a discrepancy between the reality and appearance. B is the A is appearance, B is the reality. And which is reality, which is real and which is false. The B, which is the reality, is the real, and the subjective, the appearance is the false. And everything happens on the false. So on the falsity level, everything operates, right? But we see the opposite. We see everything operating on the A, operating on the reality. That is the cause of all our problems. The moment we realize that everything is not operating on the level of the reality, everything is operating on the level of the falsity, right? All our miseries dissolve. This is the whole purpose, right? Okay, wonderful. So the absence of the reality is the reality. What's the fun reality? Absence of the reality. So therefore, sometimes when we learn the first essentials, emptiness of the objectivity, the objectivity of the object is the emptiness of the objectivity of the object. Emptiness of objectivity of the object is the objectivity of the object, right? Okay, this is extremely important concept, right? What's the reality? Absence of reality is the reality. Okay, good. Any more questions? Yes, this was the
This proves like things existing by the power of the mind to which the object appears. Now here these atoms, what is appearing?
sorry. Things exist by the power of the object appearing to the mind.
So we studied in this school that things are established by the power of the mind to which the object appears.
Yes.
So now here, at the entity level, there is only the atoms left.
Yes.
But those atoms are also, we've refuted like, that you can keep
Refuting it.
Like practice
Dismantling it.
Yes. So then what is it?
Okay, this is a good question. This is a very, very serious question. The question is, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. The question is that the person disappears, right? Only atoms are left. If the atoms also disappear, when the so the person disappears, when the atoms left, this is the ultimate analysis with respect to the person, not with respect to the atoms. This is the ultimate analysis with respect to the person, not with atoms. If you subject the atoms to the ultimate analysis, the atoms will disappear, electrons and protons will be left. Right? So there, electrons and protons are left, is left where? On the conventional analysis, not ultimate analysis. Because we did not subject the electrons, protons to ultimate analysis. What was subject to ultimate analysis? What was the atom? So an atom. What disappears, that is subjected to ultimate analysis. What remains is still within the domain of ultimate analysis, conventional analysis. Okay. If that is the case, then however minute things are, you subject them to ultimate analysis, they will all disappear. So nothing will be left there. If nothing is left there from this school point of view, what is there from the object? Because this school says partly from the subject, partly from the object. What is there from the object? This is the question. This is a very, very, very serious question. It is because of this that many, many big scholars, big scholars, they say that these two schools, they don't differ in the ultimate reality. But there's a stark contrast between these two schools, which are very fortunate that we are learning from Lama Tsongkhapa. Otherwise, this distinction, we cannot find it. So what is that distinction, right? What is that thing? Say, in many scholars and professors, many professors teaching Buddhist philosophy, they say forget about the distinction between the Prasangika Svatana and Madhyamika. They cannot even distinguish between the Madhyamika and the Chittamatra. They say that these two are the same. Philosophy-wise, it's the same. There are some very acclaimed philosophers who acclaimed, right, that I know the Buddhist philosophy. So this is the error that they make, the big professors also make, right? So therefore, seeing the distinction between the Prasangika and Svatana and Madhyamika, this requires a tremendous nuance, the sharpness of your mind. So for that matter, the author, Lama Tsongkhapa, he deliberately brought this section to tell us, so kindly to tell us, amazing, this scholarship existed once in India, not really now today. And then it was replicated in Tibet, amazing. Replicated and maintained with such rigor till now. Even today, we go to South India in the monastic universities, big monastic universities, we can really see that there are all these great teachers like my teacher, Venerable Kishi Pandita Balabuche, Venerable Kishi Shidhakira Buche. They can really replicate these scholars, Lama Tsongkhapa, Acharya Chandrakirti, Aranagarjuna. They can replicate. Even today they can replicate. But otherwise it is lost from this earth. These nuances. Yeah, this is a big question. So if this is where constantly everything dissolves, then what is that thing which Svatana Madhyamika still says that something is from the object? Right, something is from the object. This is a big question. I will not give the answer now, but we should not forget this question, right? In fact, this was a question which was bothering me for so many years. So even after me finishing my PhD degree, still it was bothering me, right? It's a big question. In fact, I would also suggest you to reflect more on this. But of course, it's just, just the one, how many sessions we did? 3 or 4 sessions, right? Okay, so we have to study more, right? Okay, yes, over there, Rohan.
Yes, just to follow up a little bit on this question.
Okay, would you mind keeping a little away from your mouth? Yes. Yes.
So just to follow up a bit on this question, the first point establishing the impossibility of partless particles, if that reasoning is so logical, so sharp, and you can push it so far, that you said in the first place that partless didn't mean indivisible. So is the possible existence of something is indivisible, is it a problem for that reasoning? Is it?
Okay, this is a good question.
When you say everything dissolves, then if there is something which is not, in the same way that Vaibhashika would say that ultimate reality is what remains there, wouldn't that be a problem for?
Wonderful. Okay, this is a good question. So the question is, when we were talking about rejecting the partlessness, partless particle, I made a distinction between the partless particles versus indivisible particles. Okay, say the indivisible. I made this distinction, deliberately I made this distinction in order not to say, not for the people more into modern science to thoughtlessly just reject, oh, this is just outdated, they talk about the indivisible part, they don't talk about the indivisible particles. In actuality, there's indivisible particles, although science still has to go further, because physics, particle physics, it heavily depends. How refined the particle physics is heavily dependent on the technology, and the technology keeps improving. So without the technology, particle physics cannot go any further, right? So therefore, it heavily depends on the technology. And as of now, they come up with the quarks in terms of the subtlest particle that they have found. So they are keen on not just theoretically talking about the partless, with parts, without parts. They don't really touch on this area. They're more interested on something quantifiable. Something quantifiable. Okay, what is that subtlest particle which we can see, whose mass we can measure, right? Quantified, the mass can be quantified, measured. So at the moment they found quarks. Whether they're parts or not, they don't care. They're not interested, right? They only talk about divisibility. So they divided the particles, whether in the nature or artificially, they divide the particles, and finally they found the subtlest particle, that of the quarks, whether it's in the form of the electrons, whether it's in the form of the bosons, whatever, it is in the form of the quarks. That is the subtlest one, right? Okay, so that is, they're talking about the divisibility. They don't touch on whether or not it's partless or has parts. This is not the area. They don't touch in this area. They simply talk about the divisibility. So now, if physics finally, with the advancement of say up to now, it's on the quarks to be the indivisible particles till date, meaning that they cannot divide any further. Physics cannot divide any further, whether in a natural state or artificially. They cannot divide further. Now, after 1,000 years, with the advancement of the technology, still they cannot divide further. They say that, okay, now there's no possibility. They can prove that there's no possibility for this to be quarks, to be divided any further. Then we have to accept that this is an indivisible particle, but still it has parts. So there's no distinction, there's no contradiction between accepting indivisible parts, indivisible particles with a particle with parts. Yeah. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll close with the quick dedication prayer. 278. 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful, generous, intense, and just. So please remain until samsara ends. Kare rave gorve shingamso, pema dewa mali chumbene, chere sewa tenze gyaso ye, shabe sede pabdu tenguro chi. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samadhavatra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all the merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. Jambe bhava chedara kemba da kundo sambo deyan deshan kela gunge jesun kewa deda damje rabdu I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praise as the best, but the victorious ones thus go on of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Tuzum Shebe Gyawa Tam Jege, Moa Kanda Chodo Abati, Age Give Sawa Digu Gya, Sambo Chuji Raptu Mobaragi. May the Supreme Bodhicitta, there is not a rising grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanjo Sanjo Rembo Che. Ge Banam Ge Duroche, Ge Banyama Merbaya, Kone Kondo Pervaresho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to this birth miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I will attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception. I dedicate the merits thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the mind and vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, birth, and the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I jump the mouth of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The power of union of entails and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of Buddha, Dharma, and the beings of Snowland. You are the lotus of the Tenzin Gyatso. We subjugate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. Tonye Yenje Sondo Juba Lam, Chejere Sense Kanje Tenjub, Chana Pemo Tenzin Gyatso Na, So De Zojendo Nundro Sho. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces, humans or non-humans, who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be truly vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 chosen. Give them all, Kuya Najo Soja Somede, Samjuro Yemba Juba Manuba, Chosen Dembe Zene Chuguruchi. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations of the past, may cruelly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the magician and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life.